Hi, my name is Melanie Klump. I'm a senior in animal science, and today I will be doing a presentation on the controversy of the carriage horse industry in New York City. So, the carriage horse industry in New York has a rather long history. It began back in the 1850s, and today there are around 216 horses currently working and providing carriage rides to the public. So although the industry has been a source of debate among animal rights groups in the past, the issue gained considerable attention and heat this year when New York ended up electing a new mayor for the city. His name is Bill de Blasio, he's the one in the picture, and he had vowed, even before he got elected, that he would shut down the carriage horse industry for good. He was quoted in an article in the Christian Science Monitor as saying, "We are going to quickly and aggressively move to make horse carriages no longer a part of the landscape in New York City. They are not humane and they are not appropriate to the year 2014. So because of this campaign of his, he's received massive support, both politically and financially, from some of the animal activist groups who support the shutdown, especially the ASPCA and NY Class. So some people believe that beneath de Blasio's claim of helping to end this inhumane practice, that there are ulterior motives at work. This is mainly because the stables where the horses are housed stand on property that is quite valuable. And there's also the fact that one of de Blasio's biggest supporters is Steve Nislik, who is one of the co-founders of NY Class and is also a successful property dealer. So people who suspect this, their concern is that he is only supporting the shutdown of the industry because he wants to get a hold of that property that the stables are standing on. So there are a number of reasons that these activists have for wanting to shut down the industry. They claim that the horses are overworked and mistreated and also are put at risk driving through the city. NY Class, who is one of the biggest animal activist groups who support this change, had put out the following statement on its website. Horses do not belong in a congested urban setting. They constantly breathe exhaust while dodging dangerous traffic. They are confined to the shafts of their carriage in their tiny stable stalls with no access to green pastures. So although no recent studies have been conducted about the effects of car exhaust on a horse's health, a Dr. Jeffy Rosell conducted an unpublished study back in the year 1985 on the subject. After studying 20 of the carriage horses that were employed in New York at the time, he found that they showed lung damage and other changes in their respiratory system that were similar to those of humans who had been exposed to polluted environments. Now, it's unclear whether this would still be the case today if such a study was reconducted. However, it does remain a valid concern, which is why the supporters are arguing that the industry is inhumane. In addition, the supporters are also saying that the number of horses who have been injured or killed on the job is too great to allow the industry to continue. Now, although only 3 horses have died in the past 30 years, there have been 20 incidents in the past 2 years. Usually this was because of the horses being spooked by traffic or bolting. Now, those who are in favor of keeping the carriage horse industry intact also have strong arguments as well. Mainly the carriage drivers are a strong voice in this, and they claim that the horses are well cared for. They work around 9 hours a day, and each year they get 5 consecutive weeks off in order to spend time on green pasture and relax. So they aren't always in their stalls 100% of their time or in their carriages. The horses aren't also allowed to work when the temperature is either above 90 degrees or below 18 degrees, and they also receive veterinary examinations twice a year. The stables themselves are inspected regularly by the city's Department of Health, along with agents of the ASPCA, police officers, and employees of the Department of Consumer Affairs. So they make sure that the stables are in good enough condition for the horses to be housed there. There's also a very detailed and lengthy layout of the regulations for the carriage horse industry in Chapter 4 of the Rules of the City of New York's Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. So they have taken a number of steps to make sure that the horses are well cared for and not being mistreated. Now, whether or not you believe that the carriage horse industry is inhumane or not, It does, you have to admit, generate a fair amount of income each year, an average about $15 million. And the drivers themselves can earn anywhere from $40,000 to $100,000 a year. However, Bill de Blasio has said that he isn't going to simply let this source of income disappear. He has a plan to replace the carriage horses over a 3-year period with electric vintage-style cars, which you can see in the picture below. These cars, which would be in the style of a 1909 Pierce Arrow, are predicted to generate $30 million of income a year. And this is mainly because, unlike the carriage horses, which aren't allowed to work in the extreme heat or cold, the cars would be able to operate year-round and they wouldn't be affected by the temperature, which is why the predicted income is much higher than the carriage horses. However, there are a few drawbacks to his plan. Namely, is the carriage drivers would be required to have a medallion, which is what they call a license, in order to be in charge of one of the cars. Now, although all the carriage drivers currently employed do have licenses or medallions for their carriages, they would end up having to buy new ones to drive the cars. Stephen Malone, who is one of the carriage drivers employed and one of the biggest voices against the shutdown, has been quoted in an article on MSNBC.com as saying, "They are going to saddle me with an unfounded, untested business and stick me with the debt for it." And mainly this is a complaint because each of these licenses would cost about $175,000, which is quite a lot. In addition to this expense, Malone, along with other carriage drivers, have argued that the electric cars are no replacement for the carriage horses. Malone had also been quoted as saying, "The one significant difference is that people come for the horse, not the tour. The horse is a star. He always has been and he always will be. Nobody is going to line up to take an electric car ride." So their main complaint is that the carriage horses are the main reason that people are coming to take the tours, and if they replace it with cars, they might not draw as much attention as they did before. So, whether or not Bill de Blasio's replacement plan would work, another concern that people have had is what would happen to the horses if the carriage horse industry got shut down. The 216 horses who are currently living there would be out of work and in need of homes. However, the animal activist groups have assured the public that they would find good homes for these horses. Ali Feldman, who is the executive director of NY Class, had been quoted as saying, "Adoption homes for every single one of these horses now pulling carriages is a huge priority for us. We've got a great partnership with the ASPCA and the Humane Society, and we're going to make sure that every single one of these horses go into a loving adoptive home. I have a waiting list for folks who want to adopt one of these horses when they're ready to come off the streets." And that was from the Christian Science Monitor article. However, there are some people who are skeptical of this claim, and mainly this is because the unwanted horse is a large problem in the U.S. right now. Thousands of horses are already in need of homes, so they are right to be doubtful that these 216 horses would actually be able to find homes. Karen Waite, who is an equine extension specialist, was quoted as saying, "We do not have enough rescue space in this country for the horses we have now. To add another 200 to an already overburdened situation is not a good thing." So the main concern that these people have is that the animal rights groups would not be able to follow through on this claim that they can find the horses' homes, and these horses would end up either being shipped off to slaughter or euthanized because the rescues would not have enough space for them. So clearly there's a lot of controversy on both sides of this issue. So the supporters in favor of shutting down the industry have claimed that the horses are being mistreated by being forced to pull carriages through New York City, which is full of traffic, exhaust fumes, and other dangers, and that it is inhumane. However, the people on the other side of the issue have claimed that the horses are treated fairly, and that they are providing the public with an irreplaceable service. Well, so far, a bill for getting rid of the carriage horses hasn't been put on the New York City Council's agenda, so only time really will tell whether or not Mayor de Blasio will succeed in shutting down the carriage horse industry. Thank you, and here are my references.